Hi students, today's my topic is about Trade Union Act 1926. The main purpose of the act is the registered trade union members will have more privileges when compared with the people in the sense employees in the factory or the industry where they are working. Why the trade union will have more privileges means, according to this Trade Union Act 1926, for registration of trade unions, the people who are all come under in the trade union will have more benefits when compared with the employees in the organization. When they are coming under the registered trade union, then those people will have the privileges to go with the collective bargaining process in the organization in a lawful method, and this will make them to understand or negotiate with the management or the hierarchy of the people in the employer category, in which if they are registered under trade union. We'll go detail about this act. This act was passed in 1926 under the title of Indian Trade Union Act, which was brought in effect from 1st June 1927. As I already said about that, any of the act which is going to be brought into effect will be officially given in the Gazette as a notification by the central government, and the act has amendments in 1947, 1960, 1962. Subsequently, the word Indian has been deleted from the Amendment Act of 1964. Earlier it was Indian Trade Union Act. Now the Indian word has been taken out and it is been using as Trade Union Act. That without using that Indian word came into force from 1st April 1965. Then day by day amendments or years have been comprised in the Trade Union Act and was passed in 1982. A comprehensive Trade Union Amendments Act has been came into force in 1982. The main objective, as I said, is if the employees in the industry or the factory or the organization they are working or being registered in a trade union means, and that trade union is being given proper approval from the government, then they can get their rights which they can enjoy in the organization where they are working. That is the main purpose of this act, is to how many people can be in the trade union, whether the trade union is being registered properly according to the norms which is being provided, what are all the registration procedures they are having legally. All these things has been explained in the Trade Union Act. This Trade Union Act acquire a legal and corporate status in the country which we are living, with proper verification members and proper registration procedures is being followed by the government when they want to join in a trade union or when they want to form a trade union. That person, that trade union registered will have certain status and they can have the privileges to go and talk with the management regarding the issues of industry. This is what we treat as an artificial person in the eyes of the law, capable of enjoying the rights as a trade union member. When we go deep into the topic, Trade Union Act is having the important definition of what is a trade union under section 2H. As I said, in any of the act we have come across with the different definitions under section 2. Those definitions also come under, that is definitions also come under section 2 in Trade Union Act. The trade union definition is being given as any combination, whether temporary or permanent, formed primarily for the purpose of regulating the relationship between workman and the employers, between workman and workman, or between employees and employer, or for imposing restrictive conditions on the conduct of any trade or business, and include any federation of two or more trade unions, then they will use, that is, that combination of people who have joined for the purpose can be called as trade union. That is, trade union in the sense union is itself mentioning about group of people. That group of people in a industry, in a factory, in a business entity means, then we can say it as trade union. Maybe the members are from workman or from the workman to workman also, we can say it as trade union. Here, what are the main functions or roles a trade union will do in the after forming a trade union means, why the people will form the groups, that is the trade unions means, to improve the working and living conditions which cannot a single individual can do. As an individual, as an employee, if I am approaching the management, the rights or the privileges cannot be getting to the employee. As a union, people together, if they go and approach the management, they can get the benefits which they have to be. Then these roles can be played when they are being forming a trade union to improve that working conditions. Maybe for example, if you take any working condition has to be changed because one of the shift timing is not possible for the employees to go with me, then together as a union members, if they are approaching a management means, then they can able to get the rights of them to go with the changes in the working condition. For that, trade union is required, and also to get the fair wages regarding the work they are doing. That is, any wages which they are not able to get properly, then as a union they can collectively go and bargain with the management. That time a trade union will play a major role to enlarge opportunities for promotion and training, collective welfare amenities which has to be promoted in the organization or the industry where they are working, to provide the educational and cultural recreation facilities to the employees in the organization, to safeguard, secure of tenure and improve conditions of service, to promote identity of interest of the workers with their industry. For all these things, what they can do is, as a union members, as a employees in the organization, together they can go and approach with the management with lot of energy towards the people. These are all the known trade union, registered trade unions which we are having in India. Indian National Trade Union Congress, All Indian Trade Union Congress, Center of Indian Trade Unions, National Labour Organization, Trade Union Congress Committee. These are all the familiar trade union in India. Type of organization wise, we have different trade unions in our country. For example, teachers means teachers will have a trade union. If the workers are working in cement factory, then that people will have a trade union. Based on the nature of work they are doing, also trade unions have been maintained. Now, the provisions, that is, what are the sections covered under trade union, is being given in the list of A to H. As we know, in any of the act, we can come across with definitions in the first part, and then the next section covers with the how trade union can be formed and what is the procedure for the registration. Then it comes under duties and liabilities of the trade union members to be obliged in the industry. Then what are the rights and privileges they are going to get when they are going with the trade union. Then when they want to go with the amalgamation or dissolving the trade union, what is the procedures? That is, amalgamation is joining with the other trade union, or when they want to close or when they want to dissolve this trade union, what is the procedure? And if they are going with a trade union, means what is the submissions of returns they have to do when they are going with the trade unions. And if they are not obeying with the regulations or norms, then what are the penalties and fines is being imposed by the government, is being given under penalties and fines. Then the last part, as we know, definitions and power to make regulations is very common in any of the act. That is what here also power to make regulations is being given under the last section of the Trade Union Act. This is what been covered under Trade Union Act. Now, to form a trade union, what the people will have, people in the sense here I am talking about the employees or the workman. Here, what is the procedure they have to follow when they want to register a trade union or when they want to form a trade union? First, they have to go with the registration. For that, at least any 7 or more members should be in the trade union in the beginning. That is what it has been given as mode of registration. Any 7 or more members of trade unions may apply for the registration process. All the members of registration must subscribe their names to the rules of the trade union. That is, they have to mention their names. We cannot just simply say as 7 members. We have to go with the 7 members' names and then they have to apply for the registration. Then according to the application mode forms, whichever is being provided, they have to apply, and the registrar for the trade union has to do the registration process. It contains what is the names of the members, occupation and the address of the members. Then the second part is they have to compulsorily give the name of the trade union. As I earlierly shown about All India Congress Trade Union, like that, people have to mention the union name. Maybe they can use the name of the industry they are working, or they can specifically mention their name of the trade union and the address in which the head office is being maintained. Then the title, name, age, address, occupations of office bearers of trade union also has to be given in this application. Now, the contents of copy of rules regarding the application, if we see, application should be accompanied with the rules of the trade union which they are maintaining. That is, what is the purpose of the trade union they are going with, and what objectives or what is the purpose of establishing that trade union has to be given. In that category, these 4 things have been mentioned: name of the trade union, whole of the object for which the trade union has been established. That is, the reason behind the formation of trade union has to be given as object, and The whole of the purpose for which the general funds of a trade union shall be applicable. Then the payment of subscription by members, that is generally any trade union member has to pay monthly some amount to the trade union, in which they can utilize the money for their need in the future years of their necessity. For example, 1 rupee for annum for rural workers, 3 rupees per annum other organized sectors, 12 rupees per annum for workers in any other cases has been maintained as subscription by the members. By collecting this money, they will utilize the needs which is being arised out of the industry. That is, anything they want to raise the fund means this trade union fund can be utilized by the members in the union. For that reason, the payment has been given as subscription by the members of the union. The amount may vary according to the time period, which may be the amount which I am mentioning here, that is like 1 rupee, 3 rupee, 12 rupee, may be changing in the form of amendments according to the trend in the market or trend in the purpose of the union when they formed. Here, the power of the registrar to call for further particulars is being given. When an application is being submitted to the registrar, then he will have the power, that is the registrar will have the powers to call for further particular regarding the trade union, because any clarifications he want to get out of the trade union which they been formed or applied, then he will call for the trade union members and he will get the clarifications out of that, and then he will go for the certification. That certification is nothing but he will go with the approval of the registration, and then he will give the certificate of the trade union which they have been given under one particular name. That is what registration and certificate, which is come under section 8 and 9. He will award the certificate of registration, that is he will issue that certificate of registration is nothing but registrar, after getting clarifications or after checking with all the details of the application of the trade union, he will go with the certification. Then they can be called as registered trade union. When the certificate has been given as a registered trade union, the privileges is more when compared with the unregistered trade union. Why? Because if they officially they are getting a confirmation about they are registered trade unions, the privileges is more when they are raising the rights towards the management. That is what the purpose of registered trade union. It is a trade union which is registered as per provisions under Trade Union Act, which has the certificate of registration, and they can be called as registered trade union. The privileges, rights, or the bargaining power is more when compared with the other employees as a group. That is what this particular act has been introduced. Then the duties and liabilities will be, whenever they are forming a trade union, the change of register office has to be mentioned properly to the registrar. When if they change the address, maybe from one place to other place they are changing the head office, means they have to give the notification within 14 days of change. Then the objective of the general fund has been spent regarding the funds which is been utilized in the trade union, means then the general funds of the registered trade union should be spent only with the objective which they have been created or which they have been formed. That is what the objects on which general fund has been sorry, spelling mistake is being given there. Whichever they are spending, the amount has to be properly utilized only for the objective. That means, example, I am using a 10,000 amount of fund of trade union. Maybe they want to spend that money to an employee who is been unable to cope with the expenses of the day-to-day income. Then, if the amount has been spent by the union member as a general fund means, then this objective should be given properly in the rules, which has to be maintained as the registered. That is, as I said, copy of rules has to be given. That copy of rules has to be properly given when they are using the general fund. The fund which has been utilized by the trade unions has to be properly mentioned according to the objective they are framing. Then, constitution of a fund for political purposes means, generally whenever elections is coming, these trade union members may be using the fund which is being collected regarding the trade union. Then that constitute a separate fund which they have to utilize for the purpose of political or civic purposes within the members of the trade union. When they are using for political purposes means, they have to constitute the payment of that promotional activities as a separate fund. That has been given under section 16. Then proportion of office bearers be connected with the industry in the trade union under section 22. Then, as I said, returns should be submitted by the trade union annually. That means what are all the collected amount they have been done throughout the year, that is financial year, and based on that, before on prescription date, auditing statements, receipts which they have been spent as an expense during the year of 31st day of December. It is throughout the year, whatever the amount they have been spent for the purpose of the union or the objective of the union or any political reason the funds have been pledged means, that returns has to be submitted properly when they are maintaining a registered trade union. Then account books and list of members has to be properly maintained in the trade union. As the head office, if they are maintaining means, these books has to be maintained in that office. Whenever inspection comes, the office bearer or member can be provided with the registered books, accounts, auditing statements, everything to their knowledge. This is what the purpose of the Trade Union Act. Trade union privileges, rights, everything is being more, but when they are maintaining a trade union according to legislations, these things has to be properly maintained when they are being registered to the government. Then another one aspect which we have to remember in Trade Union Act is, two funds will be utilized by the trade union members, that is general funds and separate funds. Then what is this general funds means? For example, I said the subscription amount which they are being charging in the trade union will be utilized for the purpose or the object of the trade union. What that general funds category come under? Under section 15, if you come across, lays down that general fund spent for the purpose of salary, allowances, expenses to the office bearers. For example, because of some disciplinary action, an employee is not getting the salary, then what these trade union members will do is, they will pay as a salary to that particular employee till is that disciplinary action is being solved. This payment will be given out of trade union. That is what the payment of salaries, allowances and expenses to the office bearers of the trade union. Then the payment of expenses for the administration of the trade union includes audit of accounts of general funds. Administration of trade union here, when they are spending some amount regarding the auditing work, maybe when they are purchasing some of the things to the office, those expenses also should be taken care under the heading of general funds. Then the allowances and compensation of members for loss arising out of trade union means that is also will be given out of this general fund. Then the education, social, religious benefits for the members, maybe for example, they are conducting a function or a program in the industry, then that expenses can be reimbursed through the general fund only. That is what education, social, religious benefits which is being given for the dependent of members of the trade unions can be getting out of this general fund. This is what general fund is. When I talk about separate funds, the separate funds talks basically about political reasons. Here, whenever a trade union is maintaining the money in the form of funds which they are receiving as subscription means, then they will take into two categories. One is general funds and separate funds. The separate funds will be utilized for the purpose of political reasons, that the contribution is being separately leaved for the fund of political purposes. Out of this fund, payments may be made for the promotion of political interest of its. For example, you take any election is being conducted in the industry for the president of the trade union or something like that means, then the money which they are going to utilize for the expenses will be taken from this separate fund. They won't take from the general funds. They will take out of from the separate funds. In that way only trade union will bear the expenses of the separate fund. This is all about Trade Union Act. The main purpose is the registered trade unions will have more benefits when compared with the people forming a group in the industry. That is what a registered trade union will get the rights or privileges by getting into the registration procedure, and then they avail the benefits. This is what about the Trade Union Act.